Just take a small step. It can even be a small step back or to the side. It doesn't have to be forward, but take a small step to implement, one appointment of virtual care, a week, like something small just to get you going to thinking outside the box. Because it's so often we are used to just thinking how we think, right? And we're not used to being uncomfortable. And so you don't need to take a big step right away, just a small step.
Welcome to the I Am Wiser podcast, where the biggest questions in healthcare and wellness meet the collective wisdom of industry leaders and innovators. I'm Dr. Laura Purdy, and here we explore the intersections of AI, care delivery, telehealth policy, and more through the lens of those who are reshaping healthcare. This is not just about theory, it's about lived experience and real industry insights. Let's dive in and get wiser together. Welcome to today's episode of the I Am Wiser podcast with Dr. Laura Purdy, where I explore the real stories behind groundbreaking healthcare innovations and the human impact they have on patients and providers. On that note, I'm delighted to welcome Dr. Melissa Turner, a visionary in the world of dentistry and teledentistry. As the industry's first Chief Hygiene Officer and a trailblazer in leveraging technology to improve oral health care, Melissa is here to share her inspiring journey and the powerful role teledentistry plays in reshaping access, quality, and patient empowerment.
Thank you, Laura. I couldn't have said it better myself. So thanks for that great introduction.
Thank you for joining me. So let's dive in. I am dying to know, what is teledentistry? Can you tell me just a little bit about teledentistry? Who are you treating? What are you treating? How does it work? Do you sit there with a camera and just say, let me look in there? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, well, you didn't know we could do root canals over Zoom, did you?
Okay. I did not, actually.
No, that's a good question. And that's something I get, every day from dentists and patients alike. All that teledentistry is the same thing that you are doing in telehealth, telemedicine, right? It's the same thing. It's okay, let's meet and greet new patients. Let's get new patients, funnel them through maybe a consumer-facing teledental platform. They call in, they have pain, they meet with a doctor on, some website, and then they get funneled to your practice, right? So there's that side of teledentistry. Then there's the side of teledentistry where it's actually, we call it the synchronous, right? The face-to-face where the doctor is actually speaking with the patient one-on-one for maybe even 30 seconds. And a lot of those appointments are the quick look and see appointments. Or if you have kids, it's the, oh my God, my kid fell. What do I do? Right? And it takes us a second to look and be like, you don't need to worry. Just come in on Monday, right? That kind of thing. But then what we're also seeing too, as dentistry maybe opens up into its more of an innovative place, we're seeing dental practices begin to understand that they don't have to stay within their brick and mortar, that they can take either concierge dental care, mobile dentistry out to the patient wherever they are, in their home, in their workplace, in their schools. And then through that, there's that teledentistry helps keep that connection from the offsite providers to the main provider. And so it's the same thing as telemedicine, right? But nobody ever thinks about it, right? No, dentistry, really? But you can. It's amazing what you can see through a phone. When I have my patients, FaceTime me, HIPAA compliant facing, when they're video chatting me on phone, it really does reveal so much of the mouth that, sometimes all you need to say to the parent is, hey, you're fine. The kid is fine. There's no need to, just come in on Monday and enjoy the weekend, right?
That's awesome. So I'm hearing urgent care, triage, which is a lot of, you're right, that is exactly like telemedicine, urgent care triage, increasing access to care, reducing barriers to care, using technology to shorten the distance between the patient and the dentist or the dental team or the office. That's wonderful. I had no idea that dentistry was doing it too. So congratulations.
It makes sense. It just makes sense when you think about it, right? And then too, what we really want to do is be able to bridge that oral systemic connection. And so having a hygienist or a dentist in a healthcare facility, in a pediatrician's office. And then they can be that offsite provider from the dentist, but then referring back and seeing patients in that healthcare facility, right? So then that really opens up access, and that's my heart, is opening up not just healthcare, but dentistry in specific. It's still a little bit of a privileged industry, opening up dentistry to everyone so they can get easy access to it.
Increasing access to care. I
Yep.
love that. Well, thank you. I have 5 children on behalf of, parents and people who are high utilizers of dentistry in America, which I qualify as that. Thank you for what you do. And I'm going to seek that out actually, because that's something I could use in my life. I mean, we've had it all. We've had broken teeth, we've had abscess teeth, we've had knocked out teeth, we've had all the things. And it always happens at 2 in the morning or on a Saturday or a Sunday. Right. And so I thank you for what you do, because that's incredible.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Wow.
And it's one of these things too, when I talk to the older generations of dentists about this, they will often say, well, I'm doing that anyway. I'm going to my patient's house on the weekend, or they're sending me pictures on their phone, right, of their kids' teeth. And I'm like, well, okay, well, that's number one, make it HIPAA compliant. But number two,
Yes.
let's make this a part of your operating clinical flow, and let's get you reimbursed for it too, right? Like, there's no need you have to do it. You don't have to do that for free, right? But they're already
Leakage.
doing it. So it's just this mind shift that they need.
So actually, that's a really great segue into something I was wondering, because I'm curious. Are the insurance companies willing to reimburse because now for telehealth, right, the insurance companies are finally reimbursing, but you have to do it a certain way. You have to use certain codes. It's like a whole thing, but you can get it paid for. Are the insurance companies willing to reimburse, or is this more of a cash pay situation? Just curious how that works.
They are. It's it's state to state basis, and there's different parity laws in place. Some states will pay the same for an oral exam if it was done in person or virtually, right? And then some will
Nice.
pay partial. So it is different state to state, but it's pretty mainstream now. Most insurance companies through
Wow.
COVID are now reimbursing some aspect of it. In dental, they won't necessarily reimburse you for the teledentistry code, but they'll reimburse you for the procedures that were done, at
Okay.
over teledentistry. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Oh, that's so interesting. And how do you feel? So I hear you when you say you're trying to get the dentist on board with it, but how are the patients? Do the patients like it? Do the patients think it's weird? Are they open to trying it? How's the receptivity level on the patient side of things?
It's a no-brainer. I mean, the
Nice.
easy answer is, all the young generations, like, this is how we function anyway, right? We're gonna function. We're gonna FaceTime everyone and Snapchat everyone. So why aren't we doing this with our dentists,
Yeah.
right? And even the older generations, they're the ones that will say, "Well, really? You can do that?" That's another really huge segment that I'm advocating for right now, because a lot of the baby boomer patients are losing autonomy, right? So they're leaving the dental practice. They can't drive in the rain anymore. They have health issues. They can't really get around like they used to. But if we can train them, the older generations, on how to contact us through virtual care, whether it's texting or video chatting,
Sure.
then when they can no longer come into the dental practice, they can still be active patients of ours. So once we can train them, and it doesn't take much to train them, right? And to kind of change that mindset, there's a little bit of a, what? You can do that? And then they're like, oh my gosh, this makes sense. And it benefits them.
Yes,
Well,
please. Wow. Okay. So I'm hearing increasing access to care. I'm hearing empowerment. You're talking about patient empowerment, allowing them to retain their autonomy. That's a very empowering principle. I'm wondering do you have any specific stories? I mean, of course, HIPAA, we won't use names and we'll only, share what we can. But do you have any specific real life stories of patients or even dentists, clients, practices, any big real life success stories that you feel are powerful enough that would be relevant to share?
yeah. I mean, there's a couple different angles we could take. So for a while, and this traditionally in the past for dentistry, virtual care and mobile dentistry had been more focused on public health, but now it's becoming more mainstream and for profit. But I was director of a mobile dentistry program in Minnesota for a while, and we implemented teledentistry while I was there. And I don't even know the exact numbers, but it was something like we tripled, production and patient load because we were able to then see patients more off-site. And it just from that standpoint, it was phenomenal. And then one of the things we realized was, and I'm a huge advocate, not just for making dentistry a better place for the patient, but also for the provider as well. I'm a hygienist. I know what it's like to work clinically, and I know how hard it can be. And I also know that dentistry is one of the most inefficient business models out there. And so what I know is that if we can help make the dental industry a more flexible place for the provider, for the clinician, then it will trickle down to the patient. So I've had dentists who had gone on surgery for carpal tunnel surgery leave, patients that get pregnant and can no longer work chairside, but now they can still work clinically through teledentistry and do it even at home while they're nursing their baby, right? Ironically enough, or do it while they're on surgery leave. And that increases their quality of life and that increases flexibility as well.
Awesome. So we're talking about how bringing teledentistry into the practice is not only better for the patients, but it's
Mhm.
also better for the clinicians as well, because it allows them a little bit more freedom. It allows them to have probably better work-life balance or work-life integration and not be so chained to their office with the more traditional office-based dental model. So that's amazing.
And you and I both know how hard it is to be, parents and clinical workers. It's hard to work clinically anyway, let alone you've got kids at home that you've got to somehow feed and
Yes.
maintain.
That's great. Well, okay, so that's a great segue as well. So talk to me about, how did you personally get involved in this innovative dentistry care industry? Did someone recruit you for a company that they were starting, or did it start with an office, or did you come up with an idea and start your own company? Like, how did you get so invested into this segment of the industry?
Mhm. Well, I think, Laura, there's two things. The first is I am a self-made woman. So if something needs to get done, I will get it done. Right. Yeah. Uh,
I
but
love that.
the second thing was, when I was working clinically full time, I was very antsy. I was an employee. I didn't own my own practice, and it was just not a thriving environment. And so I knew clinical work for full time was not going to last for long. So that was early on in my career, right? And then I realized pretty soon that the industry is broken and that change needs to happen. And so for a little bit of time, I was waiting around just to watch people make the change, right? And then I realized, no, 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 no. Like, I've got a hold on this. I can make the change that needs to happen. And so through the years, what I've realized, when people ask me what my superpowers are, I, for a long time, like many people, I didn't know. I was like, well, I don't know. I'm a good speaker. I'm great with patience, right? But
Yeah.
that's not my superpower. But what I've
Yeah.
realized is kind of throughout the years that I not only enjoy, but I thrive living at the intersection between tradition and innovation. And
Yes.
I don't know if that's like a traditional millennial characteristic or what, but like I can roll
Yeah.
with the OGs and I can play their game, but then I can
Yes.
also raise my fist with the young ones and be like, yes, let's fight and change the world, right? And so I think that's kind of, and being a youngest kid in my family didn't help anyway. That prepared me, but I think that's throughout all of my journey, that's my gut, that's my drive that's saying, "Hey, like, you can go make shit happen. You can create a legacy for your kids, for those who are to come, and make a positive change all at the same time. Just get it done." And so that's kind of where I find myself living right now, and it's really fun. It's a heck of a lot of fun.
You love what you're doing, and
I
it
love what I'm
shows. I mean,
doing.
listen to the passion in your voice. You love what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah, and part of it is too, like, in dentistry, because it is such a traditional niche, very old school. It almost makes it too easy to be the innovator, right? Because we still got dentists using fax machines, and here I am saying,
Oh
"Come do
my.
a virtual appointment," and they're like, "Oh my gosh, too much, Melissa."
back away slowly. Wow. But also, it leaves you with a lot of space to be able to imagine and envision, and the playground is wide open, right? The sandbox is empty, and you can step in and say, I have an idea. What if, imagine together that we can do things this way, and you're making everyone's lives better, including your own at the same time. So why not?
Why not? That's exactly right. Why not? That's what I
Why
tell my
not?
kids all the time. Why not?
Why not? Why not? So it was a grind, I would imagine, sitting there. I mean, I'm sure you love taking care of patients and taking care of people, of course, but the grind of doing the same thing in the same way, at the same place, at the same time every day, and then also feeling like you might do that for the next 30 years. No wonder you decided to become an innovator.
Yeah, yeah. For a lot of clinicians, as it used to be that when you graduated from dental school or hygiene school or whatever school you're graduating from, a lot of times in the past we used to reach our glass ceiling right away. And that was frustrating, right? Because that's all we had then, clinical. We just had clinical. And now we can be founders. Now we can quit clinical and use that experience to help with consulting and all this other stuff. And I think that's kind of seeing that transition throughout the years. It's a fun thing for me to kind of watch the industry grow.
Well, and as a self-made, self-proclaimed self-made, take charge, kind of visionary, trailblazing innovator in your field, you can take that wherever you want. That makes glass ceilings very irrelevant, at least in my experience. The glass ceiling is only as relevant as we decide that it is or is not. And you can just go, right, you can just ignore it and walk right past it and put up your little ladder and on you go, right? Like, take the elevator straight up.
Hit a little hammer and do a little breaking of the glass ceiling.
That's right. I love it. I think that's amazing. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about, so I'm curious, right? Because you mentioned millennial. I'm a millennial as well. I fall into the elder millennial is the generation that I most align with. And I'm curious, how has it been for you, like getting involved in social media and putting yourself out there and taking pictures and videos of yourself and putting them all over the internet? At least for me personally, it has not been my favorite thing to do. I did it begrudgingly. I told my first marketing team, I am not doing Instagram. Forget about it. No, no, no. And we actually made it 6 months without having any Instagram. And then I realized that is just not the way the world works and, gave in. But how has that been for you? Did you also do that begrudgingly as a millennial, or were you easy, faster to adopt than me?
Well, I do remember life without the internet, right? But
Yes.
I think I was 6th grade when my class first got internet, and the beeps were happening and we all logged on and then nobody
The
knew what to do.
beeps. I can hear it. I can hear the beeps. I know what you're talking about.
I don't know if I feel stressed when I hear those or if it's excitement. I don't know how
Yeah.
my body reacts.
Yes.
Uh, so
Yeah.
so I do remember that when the internet came out, I was like, this is amazing, right? I don't know what I'm doing with
Yeah.
it. And then pretty soon you get your plane tickets on it. And then pretty soon MySpace came out. And then, all of this stuff. But each time something new came out, I do remember being pretty public facing and open about it. So when MySpace came out, I was posting. When blogs came out, I was like, okay, let's start 500 blogs and just get things out there, right? So I think I
Wow.
have a little bit easier time than you.
Oh,
But it
no.
is a very vulnerable thing. And I don't know if you've watched the Martha Stewart documentary where she was,
Not.
oh,
Do I
please
need to
do.
watch it?
Yes.
Okay.
Your mind will
I
be
will watch
blown.
it.
The gist is she was one of the first people to make her face her brand. And there were so many people that were saying, no, don't do it. That's not wise, because if your face, distorts in any way, shape, or form, not even just physically, but if something, if you get a bad rep, then your whole brand is done, right? What she
Yeah.
did in that lesson. So that's why for me, it is a very vulnerable thing to be public facing in any aspect. But it's also something I know comes naturally. And I've learned to just tune out the haters. I think for me, the most difficult part, and you'll have to tell me if you struggle with this as well. I have a lot of influencer friends who are simply just influencers behind the scenes. They don't make public appearances. They're not on stage. They don't go to corporate events. They're not, they're just behind the screen. And I feel like it's harder to be both behind the screen, but then also in person because just stupid things like you can't use an AI filter that's super AI because then nobody will recognize you, right?
You're
But
not
you're like,
real.
oh,
Yeah.
she's old, isn't she?
She doesn't look anything like that. Yeah.
Look anything like that. Or like you just have to what I've worked on. What I think one of the keys, and I do a lot of coaching with founders and people who want to become more public facing on social media. And I say one of the keys that you have to do is make sure your online persona, even your written copy, verbiage, language, matches what you bring out in person, because that's what's going to pull it all together. And in an age where everyone is using chat and generative AI to create social posts, I'm like, I will never do that because it's like a dime a dozen, right? I remember there was a time where I was trying to make every social post perfect. Every photo had to be perfect. The lighting had to be perfect. No extra periods, no extra commas, And now I'll throw in an extra period because I'm like, I want people to know this is actually me and not like some
Just
robot.
to prove how imperfect you are. I love that.
So I
That's
feel like I have a
hysterical.
little more easier time than you, but it's because I've always liked it, from little on up. So
That's hysterical. No, I can't relate to that at all. I was the latest adopter. I mean, to be fair, I worked for the government for 15 years. And when you work for the government, you can't represent yourself because you're property of the government. So I acknowledge that some of this had to do with that. But no, I was in fact, I don't know if you Google around sometime, you'll see we did this brief thing of the America's Favorite Doctor campaign. And
okay.
that was this whole image constructed by someone else. You should look this way, you should dress this way, you should talk this way, you should only wear these colors. Metallic silver was not on the list of colors I should wear. And
Rising.
this is what you should do and this is who you should be. But it's exactly what you're talking about. If you met me in real life or you hung out with me casually, the person, the persona and the person were two completely different people, and it was exhausting. Really. So I love that. That's like we'll call that the bonus wisdom. If you're going to do social media, just be yourself and don't tune out the haters.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, the older I get, so this is going to be revealing, but I turned 40 this year. And I remember when one of my friends who was older than me, she had already turned 40. And she's like, Melissa, when you turn 40, you're just not going to give an F what other people care. Oh, like what other people care about you or think about you. And I'm like, the day I turned 40, I was like, man,
Yep.
I just don't care anymore. I don't I hear you.
I do not care. I turned 40 last year and I absolutely do not care. I don't care. I don't care. Even coming into this day, I said, I don't care. It doesn't have to be perfect. Things are going to go wrong. It doesn't even matter. What can you do? So I love that. Well, okay, that'll be bonus wisdom number 2. Once you get past the age of 40, you have permission not to care. So let's bring it back. Let's bring it back to the teledentistry. And so let's talk about the elephant in the technological room, which is AI. So are you using AI? Because it's kind of interesting. I've been in telehealth for almost 10 years. So I've seen the iterations of all of the things that people have done, right? First, it was urgent care, and then it was sexual health, and then they came into insurance, and then it was like lab testing, and STDs, and then it was weight loss. Everybody's doing weight loss. And now everybody wants to use AI, and everybody's always talking about it. And the answer is yes, of course, we're going to use AI. I can't tell you exactly how, but I know that we're going to. Talk to me about the future of AI as a tool, not a replacement, but a tool that you're going to be using in teledentistry. Are you already using it? Is it an emerging technology? Where are you at on that
So over
spectrum?
COVID, dental AI came out, right? And I'm using these air quotes because dental AI came out, and still to this day, when we say AI in dentistry, people think that this is what it is, right? This small fragment of what we're using it for. So dental AI came out over COVID. on basically it'll read the radiographs for us, right? And tell us, here's a cavity, here's some bone
Okay.
loss, here's something we don't know what it is, but it shouldn't be there. And so it's still very novel. I would guess maybe a quarter of dental practices are using it now, maybe a third. So that is how dental AI came into my space. But the fact is we've been using it forever in other things, right? Anytime you pick up a device or a phone or a practice management system, but right now we're seeing it come out as, robots for the front office, right? So people call in, they think they're talking to a front office person, but it's really a dental AI robot. So that's kind of the next step in this, but all in the background of it. So those are the fragmented artificial intelligence uses. But in the back end of this, there's some exciting things happening where, it goes a step above. And it's basically like kind of like a Siri for dental, right? The dentist comes in, this Siri walks the dentist, through the day, through all the patients. It can ask the dentist can ask it to do anything, write up the treatment plan, and it will do it for you. It's kind of one
Wow.
step above and pulls everything together. So that in itself is going to revolutionize my industry, my tiny, tiny industry,
Yes.
and kind of propel them, force these dental practice owners. A lot of them are still dentists to kind of move into the 21st century, right? To actually get their shit together, to get more efficient in their dental practice, to use virtual care and things like that. So eventually, I don't even think we'll be talking about teledentistry or telehealth or AI because it's just going to be part of what we do anyway, right? Just so ingrained
Yes.
in what we do. But for now, we'll take the baby steps to get there.
Baby steps. Baby steps. Yeah. That's great. Wow. How exciting. I think this is so fascinating to me, and I love learning about the technology that other industries or other corners of the sandbox are evolving and developing. So I see in your caption that you're a founder. Have we talked yet
Mhm.
about what did you found and what does it do? Tell me about your venture, your endeavor that you're personally, and I got to know more about Chief Hygiene Officer. Tell me what I need to know about what you founded and most specifically the impact that you personally and your venture are making on your little section of the industry.
Yeah, it is a little section. But I'm proud. I'm proud. I don't know how I got here, but I'm proud to be in it. So Chief Hygiene Officer, this is for a consulting group. We grow and we accelerate businesses. So it's a consulting group inside of dentistry, and we'll grow any manufacturer, tech company, things like that. So that's the chief hygiene aspect of it. I was the first chief hygiene officer in dentistry, and now we're seeing that pick up a lot in specifically in the corporate side of dentistry where it's no longer a dentist that owns the practice. It's more of a group practice that's owned by a third party. They're called
Yep.
DSOs. I don't know if anybody knows what that is outside of dentistry, but in the corporate group practice, there's room for hygienists and clinical officers to grow outside of the clinical, just the clinical role. So we're seeing some chief hygiene officers, chief dental officers come through
Awesome.
there, which is super exciting. But as far as the founder aspect, I am a dental event nerd. I love getting together. Even through COVID, I loved getting together at dental events with my friends, right? They become part of your family. It's a special
Yeah.
group that will still get together in person. I'm aging myself there, right? But so what I
Yeah.
did was for this teledentistry and for a few other aspects of the industry, I founded and co-founded some national events. So we've got a teledentistry conference. We've got something called the Denobi Awards, which is, well, we wanted to call it Dentistry's Oscars, right? How nerdy are we, right? This big red carpet extravaganza. But so
That's
it's a red
fun, though. That's
it's
a lot of
it's a
fun.
red carpet. One day a year, we get together and just give out a whole bunch of awards, and then we have this prevention summit that we have as well, that's kind of along with AI. It's propelling dentistry into a preventive-based future instead of a reactive disease-based
Yep.
industry. So I love dental events. I love speaking at them. I love running them. I just love everybody getting together and hugging each other, right?
I love it. And so your specific what you have found it does like you put on the events or you throw the awards, or
Mhm.
is that how that works?
Yeah, so they're my babies. So we've created them and now we're growing them. And then but the bulk of my time is either spent on stage speaking, outside of that, or as a brand strategy consultant. So that's where I spend most of my time is in the boardroom, a lot of times only female in the boardroom.
I bet you
But
are. I bet
that's a
you
whole
are.
other podcast, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
but, but working alongside startups and mature companies on, how can they have these fantastic revolutionary products that are coming out, every week these days, but they don't know how to speak to the healthcare professional. They don't know what words to use, so I'll walk alongside with their product launches, with the product line launches, and even with development a lot of times to help them grow their product and get their word out in a way where dental professionals will actually hear what they're trying to say.
So I'm hearing that you're generating impact on all fronts. You're bringing people together. You're recognizing their achievements, which I'm sure has not been done a lot previously, by rewarding them, giving them awards, calling them out on what they're doing great or what their
Mhm.
superpowers are. You're helping practices innovate. You're helping businesses grow. You're helping brands. I mean, that's all you do is just help people
Mhm.
and have impact everywhere you go with every person you interact with.
Yeah. And that's, it used to be where I'm like, I should stick to one lane and stay in it. And then once I turned 40, no, the older
Nope.
I got, then I realized I'm going to play to my strengths. So whether it's helping people in this area or that area, the bottom line is I want to make the industry better for both the patient and provider. So that's the one thing that ties all of it together. And I think that's just who I am. I want to make people help them live a better life. Like we have one life and it goes by pretty fast. And so
It
let's live
does,
your life.
especially when you're about halfway through it, right? So I can relate to you there. Okay. Well, listen, thank you for spending so much time with me today. Thank you for sharing. I have learned so much in the last half hour about an industry that I really had no idea. So I'm really happy that you're out there doing what you're doing for all of the people that you're doing it for. I just have a couple more I'll say questions or words of wisdom to glean for you before we call it a day. And my first would be, so can you tell me, what's the one piece of wisdom that you would give patients and clinicians alike when they're thinking about taking the plunge to adopt technology? Maybe they're afraid. Maybe they're like me and they don't want to use social media, or maybe they're using paper charts and fax machines and they don't want to do video visits and they want to keep on their iPhone. What advice do you give them from a consultant standpoint to help get them over that hump and with the current times?
Mhm. What I would say, and I say this a lot even outside of my consulting, I'll say it to my kids too, but I'll say just take a small step. It can even be a small step back or to the side. It doesn't have to be forward, but take a small step to implement, one appointment of virtual care, a week, like something small just to get you going to thinking outside the box. Cause it's so often we are used to just thinking how we think, right? And we're not used to being uncomfortable. And so you don't need to take a big step right away, just a small step. And I don't know if you are into Mel Robbins at all, but she's come out with her 5-second rule book. And so, the easiest thing to do when you don't want to do something, even if it's a small step, is just count down from 5 and do it, right? Just make yourself get
Do it
going.
anyways. Do it anyways. I say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. There you go. That's great. Okay. And last but not least, what are you most excited about when you look to the future, the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years of your amazing career? What excites you the most?
Hmm. What excites me the most is change that is out of my control. And this very well could be just a coping mechanism for change that's out of my control. but but
It's a
what I
healthy one.
know, yeah, what I know is when things change, whether for good or for bad, then that's when opportunity arises. And so in healthcare, we're seeing all kinds of legislative changes. We're seeing changes through Medicaid, Medicare. We're seeing everything change right now. And it's kind of been that way since COVID, but now this is like a round 2. And now with generative AI, we're going to see more change in the next 5 years than we have in the last 50 just through technology. And so it's these times of change that I'm like, okay, this is when I can change because everything else is changing. So I can be who I want to be, or you can be who you want to be. And this is what I tell my kids all the time too. I'm like, you don't have to be, they're starting school tomorrow, right? You don't have to be who you were last year in 2nd grade. You're now in 3rd grade. You could be whoever you want to be. So
That's right.
like live intentionally, right? And take this change opportunity to just live intentionally. I think that's the biggest piece of advice I could ever give anyone. And I tell myself every day, same thing.
Embrace change, whatever it is. Embrace technology. Embrace teledentistry. Embrace turning 40. Embrace it all. Embrace social media. I love it. I love it. Thank you. This has been a wonderful conversation. I have loved spending time with you, Dr. Turner. Thank you so much. I wish you the best in all the things that you're working on, and we'll talk to you soon.
Laura, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for tuning in to the I Am Wiser podcast, where each episode brings us closer to a wiser, more human approach to healthcare. If today's conversation inspired you or sparked new ideas, share it with someone who's ready to rethink healthcare. And if you have a story or innovation that could light the way for others, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. This space is yours too. Don't forget to follow, rate, and review us on your favorite platform. Until next time, stay curious, stay courageous, and stay wiser.